Hey everybody, this is Perch. I've started to record this video a second time. It was going along about 30 seconds. I'm like, what's that noise in the background? It's like some very low level chatter going on in the background. And it was like the radio was just barely on and you could kind of hear just a tiny bit to not really register it, but it was going. So I'm like, oh, well, I'd turn that off. Radio down in Texas is, it's fine. I mean, whatever. A lot of good Mexican music. But there's a woman. I don't know her deal, but apparently she's radio famous, whatever that means. It's Kelly Raspberry, and she's like on all of the commercials. Same thing. She's like the same. It's always the same kind of bit. Hello, this is Kelly Raspberry. Do you want to lose weight? Hello, this is Kelly Raspberry. Do you want to buy a new car? Hello, this is Kelly Raspberry. Do you want to be able to eat anything you can possibly eat and then vacuum it out with a little hose? We can do that for you. It goes on and on and on. But anyway, but there you go. So here's a viewer mail. I'm working on that Texan accent. I know it's not good. I know, but y'all got to bear with me. Okay, folks, got to bear with me. Y'all got to just be patient. All right. It says, are Marvel and DC slash fan fiction? All right. So this may be a little bit of needing some explaining. So if you're not familiar with slash fan fiction, typically that is non-straight fan generated content. And if you go back in time, like 10, 15 years or more, this was a briefly big thing. And as I recall, and I may have the details on this slightly wrong, but in the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling became alarmed and disturbed when she discovered that lots of people were writing slash fan fiction around Harry Potter and that blonde kid that was always, crapping on him. And then she was alarmed to find out people were writing stories about the blonde kid actually crapping on him. So that's a thing. But anyway, slash fan fiction. I haven't heard that for a while. But let's get into the mail. It says, Dear Perch, I just saw a community post from Zach about the latest Marvel heroes to turn gay, and a thought struck me like a bolt of lightning. I think the latest heroes would be Rachel Summers and Betsy Braddock Psylocke, or Captain Britain Betsy Braddock. Because now we've got Psylocke Quanon, and Betsy is not Psylocke, but Captain Britain. And they've revealed that the two had a long, burning love for each other. It's curious because, and this is just me being kind of a stickler for it. Now, Claremont has claimed that there was a brief idea floated for a while around having Rachel and Kitty Pryde get together as a couple. It didn't necessarily match. I think they both in the future that Claremont wrote himself had. I think Rachel was with Franklin Richards, as I recall, and Kitty Pryde was with Colossus. But okay, sure. So that line from Claremont never made a whole lot of sense because he was writing their future. You'd think Claremont. I mean, lots of writers do different things, but Claremont in particular would set up subplots like 5 years in advance. So to have no real indications of that is like, really? So you're telling me an editor was drawing a line with Claremont? It could be. It just always felt like a weird thing. It didn't ring true. And then Betsy Braddock. My clearest recollection of her is that like there were multiple moments, and I think Alan Davis drew all of them, where she would show up naked with Doug Ramsey. Like they'd be in some kind of adventure in the Mojoverse or something, and then they'd get spit out of it and they lost their clothes, and then they're like, oh, how embarrassing. And this would just go on. It went on at least twice. So I mean, but anyway, they were kind of flirting with that whole idea. Anyway, whatever. But it's Betsy Braddock and Rachel, and they have a big kiss, and then Captain Britain makes, or maybe Rachel, I don't remember, one of them makes rainbow colored butterflies, because the heroes, when they're in another multiversal dimension, are thinking of the pride flag, I guess. I don't know. I struggle with big aspects of this that has nothing to do really with the kiss. Does that make any sense? I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, fine, or whatever. So back to the mail. It says, is this trend an outgrowth of fan fiction culture as much of a political statement? Oh, I think it's absolutely more fan fiction culture, by the way. I don't think this is really a political statement, but we'll continue. I think most political statements are fan fiction disguised as political statements. Meaning, I've talked to too many of these people who have no idea what's going on with politics, like none. I had a very serious conversation with somebody. It's like, well, if Joe Biden dies, Republicans want that to happen because then Donald Trump becomes president. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. That's not how the system works. So really worked up about it. So Biden has COVID, and it's like, oh, the Republicans probably gave it to him so they could get Trump in as president. It's like it doesn't. It would go to Kamala Harris or Kamala. It wouldn't go to Trump. Like that's basic. Like, do they teach civics and government in school anymore? I'm thinking no. Anyway. All right, I won't interrupt this mail anymore. It says, I remember many years ago when I was young and constantly embarrassing myself, I used to write and read that stuff. Slash wasn't for me, but I never had a problem with it, so as long as I can write about my favorite couples too. Could all the gender-bending same-sex pairings be motivated by a simple desire to see writers' favorite characters make out? Were any of them into slash fiction in the past? A few of them were. We know a few. I think Teenie Howard has said that she was. Were any of them in, maybe this is an obvious or trivial question, but it would explain a lot to me. Thanks and keep up the good work. So absolutely. Several comic writers have talked about doing fan fiction. I think they get, it's strange. They'll get weird about it. There was a lot of admission that people were into fan fiction, and then seemingly people backed away. Somebody behind the scenes, or a lawyer, I don't know who, basically reminded all the writers, it's like, hey, don't mention fan fiction, because if you indicate that you read some of that stuff and then you write a story based off some fan fiction, we could all get sued. I don't know, everybody just got real quiet about it. But absolutely, a number of writers did fan fiction. I would argue that the overwhelming majority, like in the 80 to 90% of writers did some level of fan fiction. And quite frankly, even if they're not writing it down, most of them are, but even if they're not writing it down, they've got it in their head. You talk to any writer anywhere, and they'll tell you that, when I was young, I used to think up, stories about, Batman fighting Frankenstein, and, and then they start making that. No, usually not that last part, but that it's very common. And I do think that, let's see, how do I want to put this? I believe that the lack of commitment the publishers have to writers. So if you go back in a little bit, and keep in mind, it's not like comics. There was this long storied history of Marvel and DC treating their writers with infinite respect. It's not like that was true. It's not like that ever happened. But there was a sense in decades past that if you're a writer and you made it, that the company, I don't know about take care of you, but they would keep you, or you'd be part of a family. And now I think there's a lot more keeping the writers at arm's length. Now, obviously, if you're Tom King, you've got DC completely by the balls, and they're going to put you on whatever they can. But most writers are, I don't know, 3 issues away from not working for the company again, and that vibe has gotten out. If you talk to a lot of writers, there's definitely been a transformation over the last 30 years of feeling like they don't have any kind of long-term commitment with the company they're at, usually because contractually they don't. So I think that what this has done is it's manifested into a number of things. But one of the things that you see is that writers, they're more willing to just kind of do that fan fiction idea because, number one, they don't know if they're going to, be with the company in a few months, so you might as well go for it. And number two, they don't care about breaking the character, meaning if their fan fiction moment causes problems, continuity issues or anything else, that's frankly not their problem. They're not employees of the company. They don't care. They don't need to care. And I think that's one of those things that's broken about comics more than people admit. I think that it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. If you give your workers no long-term commitment, no feeling of kind of upward mobility in the company, no sense, that they're going to likely treat you the same way in return. Why should they give the characters and the things they write long-term commitment? It doesn't mean they're going to do a crap job. Maybe some of them do, but it means that they're just not going to be real thoughtful about, what is the consequences 2 years from now. They're going to be thinking, I don't even know if I'll be working here 6 months from now. What do I care about that? And so you'll see writers come in and like, I'm going to do that idea I always wanted to do. And if it causes a problem for a later writer, so be it. Again, I don't. keep in mind, I don't think the writer's sitting around there going, "Ha, this is going to just screw the company later." I don't think they're thinking that way. I just think that, if you don't have to live with the consequences of, your fan fiction, screw it, go for it. That's kind of how it's coming across, in my opinion, anyway. Anyway, great question. Thanks for writing in. Thanks for listening. And for all of you, let me know your thoughts on the comments below. Like and subscribe, of course. And thanks for listening. All right, this has nothing to do with comics, but I'm here with my daughter. And how old are you?
8.
Okay. And you just told me you like a song. What song was it?
Epic.
Epic? Epic by who?
Um,
You're not sure, right?
yeah.
Faith No More?
Yeah.
You like Faith No More?
Yeah.
I'm so proud right now.